All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that I think is really relevant to a lot of you out there, especially if you're thinking about your career at all these days.
Mhm.
We are talking about RoleCatcher.
Yes.
It's this platform and, it's generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because they're saying they're trying to be your secret weapon for job hunting.
Yeah, and it's coming in at a really interesting time.
Yeah.
Because we're hearing more and more about how AI is changing everything,
Hmm.
and the job market is no exception.
Totally.
Um, so RoleCatcher seems to be really tapping into that by offering all these tools that can maybe help you navigate this world where algorithms are making the first cut.
Right. It's almost like you've got to impress the robots before you even get to the humans.
Exactly, and that's where things like their AI-powered resume builder come in.
Okay.
And we're not just talking about like making your resume look nice here.
Right.
This is about understanding what applicant tracking systems are looking for.
Okay.
ATS, for short.
Gotcha.
Those are like the gatekeepers of a lot of job applications these days.
So is it like having a secret decoder ring for these ATS systems?
Yeah, you can think of it that way.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Basically, RoleCatcher um, digs into job descriptions,
Okay.
and it pulls out those keywords and skills that employers are really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You know how sometimes you read a job ad and you're like, wait, do they want somebody who could do like 5 jobs at once?
Yes.
RoleCatcher helps you cut through all of that and figure out what really matters most to a hiring manager and the algorithms that they're using.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Who hasn't fired off a resume and then wondered if an actual human being ever even looked at it?
Right.
But let's talk about staying organized
Yeah.
because that's half the battle with job hunting, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
This RoleCatcher Capture browser extension I thought was really interesting because it lets you save jobs from all of these different websites right into RoleCatcher.
Yeah, that's the idea. They're trying to be that central hub for your entire job search.
Right.
Think about it. Most of us are on multiple job boards,
Oh, yeah.
company websites, maybe LinkedIn.
For sure.
It gets really messy really fast.
It's a lot. Spreadsheets, notes everywhere. It's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So is RoleCatcher really claiming that they can manage all of that chaos, like from applications to interview prep all in one place?
That's the goal. And from what we've seen, they're doing a pretty good job.
Okay.
Just imagine you log in and you have a clear overview of every job you've applied for,
Mm-hmm.
the status of those applications, your notes, even different versions of your resume
Mm-hmm.
that you've tailored to each job.
Right.
No more like frantically searching through your computer trying to remember which version you set where.
Oh my gosh. That is already speaking to my inner organization freak.
Right.
But okay.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The real nail biter is the interview.
Oh, for sure.
And RoleCatcher has this massive database of practice interview questions. Like over 120,000, is that what we saw?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
How do you even wrap your head around that? Is it just about memorizing answers?
Definitely not. And that's what's interesting about their approach, I think. They're not about giving you canned responses.
Oh yeah.
They want you to understand the why behind the questions,
Mm-hmm.
what the interviewers are really trying to figure out.
So it's more about figuring out how to tell your own story in a way that clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's where they start to bring in some of the AI-powered features that we were talking about earlier.
AI powered, huh? So we're not just talking about a random list of questions. What makes RoleCatcher's approach different?
Well, they have this feature.
Okay.
I think it's part of the Copilot AI package,
Mm-hmm.
where you can practice your interview answers,
Okay.
like you're on a video call,
Right.
and get AI-powered feedback on how you're doing.
Wow.
It analyzes things like your tone of voice, your pacing, even your body language.
So it's like having a personal acting coach in your back pocket.
Kinda.
But is it really about putting on a performance, though?
That's a good question.
Wouldn't you want to come across as authentic?
You absolutely do. And I think that's what they're getting at with this.
Okay.
It's not about changing who you are.
Right.
It's about being aware of how you're coming across.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have these little nervous habits that we don't even realize, like fidgeting or saying too much.
For sure. Yeah.
And this kind of feedback can be really helpful for that kind of thing.
That makes sense.
So you can just put your best foot forward.
It's all about fine-tuning.
Exactly.
And speaking of fine-tuning,
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the career guides that we saw from RoleCatcher.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to go way deeper than just your average career advice
They do.
website or
It's
whatever.
not just here's what a software engineer does.
Ro-
They've broken it down into all these different career paths within those fields.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
for a software engineer, you might have a track for someone who wants to go into management
Yeah.
versus someone who wants to be an individual contributor.
That's so helpful because
Yeah.
it's one thing to have this kind of vague idea of what you want to do,
Right.
but seeing it laid out like that is really helpful.
Yeah. Gives you a place to start.
Yeah, you can actually picture yourself in those roles.
Totally.
Okay, what skills do I need to get there?
Right. And they give you really concrete examples of what someone at each stage might be doing,
Oh, wow.
the kind of projects they might be working on, even like salary expectations.
It's like they're giving you a roadmap, not just a destination.
Exactly.
That level of detail is not something you usually find for free, is it?
No, not really.
Which kind of brings me to my next question.
Okay.
We've been gushing about all this amazing stuff. A lot of it's free.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher does have this paid Copilot AI subscription.
Right.
So for someone who's out there thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but is it really worth it?
Hmm.
What would you say?
That's a good question. And I think it comes down to how much you really want that extra AI boost.
Okay.
You can think of the free version like a really well-stocked toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got everything you need to do a solid job search.
Right.
But that Copilot AI subscription is like adding power tools to that toolkit.
Okay.
It can maybe make the work faster, a little bit more precise, and potentially get you even better results.
So it's less about needing it to succeed and more about maybe getting an edge in a really competitive job market.
Exactly. And we haven't even touched on some of the other things that it unlocks.
Oh, really?
Like it can even personalize cover letters.
Oh, wow.
So you upload a cover letter.
Right?
It analyzes the job description.
Right.
And then it suggests ways to make it even more impactful.
That's huge because it's one thing to tailor a resume, but now we're talking about fine-tuning your cover letter, too.
Right.
That can make a big difference.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about AI and these advanced tools,
Yeah.
I do have to ask, what does this mean for the future of job hunting?
Mm-hmm.
Are we headed towards a world where, human interaction is just completely out of the picture?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody has a crystal ball for that one.
Right.
But I do think that what RoleCatcher is doing suggests something really important.
Mm.
It's not about replacing that human interaction.
Right.
It's about understanding how we can use technology to enhance it.
That's a good point.
Because even in a world with super sophisticated AI,
Yeah.
it's still humans making those hiring decisions.
At the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's about finding that balance,
totally.
right? Using the tools to put your best foot forward, but not losing sight of the human element.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening look at RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
It's clearly a platform that's trying to change the game.
Trying to shake things up.
Yeah, and I'm sure our listeners have a lot to think about.
For sure.
So there you have it, a deep dive into RoleCatcher and what it all might mean for your job search.
Mm,
The question now is, what will you do with this information?
that's right.
Will you stick to your old ways, or are you ready to embrace the future of work?
Big questions.
Something to ponder. Until next time, happy job hunting.